So welcome back with us. Like I said, if we actually look out there, what's one of the leading challenges in business today? And it hits blue collar. It's hitting all kinds of companies. Restaurants are going through this. The hospitality industry is going through this. Not only that, statistics are showing that people are quitting at a record rate today. Now, we can look at this and say, hey, it's because of the unemployment compensation. We can blame the social environment. We can sit back and make this statement that we hear so often. There ain't nobody wants to work anymore. But none of those are going to give you the solution to your problem. And we're going to talk today about one subject matter is recruitment bonuses. We're going to talk about how to make a recruitment bonus possibly be the best investment you can make to move your company forward. Now, Cheryl, you deal every single day in the world of hiring in your work with many of the companies that we work with, where you are actually doing the search and the interview and then recommending people for employment. What's your viewpoint of the employment challenge of 2021?
Well, number one, we've all know the challenges of the fact of the government money paying them in, but that's not always it. The people aren't selling themselves. So the challenge is for an employee to find somewhere they really want to go. And money, as always, that is part of the process. So the thing about that is if you've got the culture and you're paying a good wage, it brings the people in. And I'm finding more and more people now that are not employed that are searching for new jobs. They're looking for a better company, number one. They're looking, as always, for a better compensation. And so, with us offering that, then we are finding the elite of the elite employees that are out there. So, you're not just getting someone that's been unemployed since the pandemic started. So things are changing quite rapidly.
And you know, a while back, I started seeing something popping up in recruitment ads, and it was called a recruitment bonus. Now, like many people, Cheryl, when I first saw this, it's like, oh my God, we actually got to give a bonus to a person to entice them to come to work for us. And even one of our clients stepped out tremendously, and he made the following statement in a recruitment ad: up to $5,000 recruitment bonus. Now, listen carefully to what I said. Up to, up to, because this is critical. But the whole thing was this recruitment bonus was conceived and put together in an extremely attractive presentation on social media. And it grabbed people's attention. And even in our coaching group and the people that we work with, the question was raised: how in the world are you structuring this up to $5,000 recruitment bonus? And as we talked more and more, we found out there was a system to this train of thought. Because what you got to do, number one, and this is a comparison that I often make in any kind of marketing, but most especially in the world of recruitment, is you got to throw a bait out that catches everyone's attention. You got to throw bait. So, Cheryl, we've done a lot of thought processes, and we've worked with a lot of clients here in our office at CBC that have actually spent a day with us working on the construction of that bait. So, before we go into the details, let's talk about bait. Let's talk about the things that entice someone to come to work for you in 2021. Because you got to remember, it's not 1980. It's not 1960. It is 2021. And if you're going to be successful in your chosen field, you got to understand the field of battle that you're walking into. So Cheryl, I'm going to turn it over to you for a minute. And I want you to talk about bait a little bit today, okay? Let's talk about this term bait.
And it is a field of battle. The thing about it is bait, just as if you were fishing, I would not fish in with the same bait that you would. Also, I'm not fishing in the same pond that you do. So you have to put your bait into the correct location where you want to find the fish that you want to find. And that allocating as Jerry does to hiring, we have to put out what is important to the people in your area. A lot of the bait that we're finding, and this goes for basically any company, is the culture in your company. Is it something that someone wants to spend a big majority of their life in? Remember, they're with you at least a third of their life. So is it the culture they want? Another thing is, do you care about me? The people of today want to know that they're cared about. They want to know that they have a voice. They want to know that if they have a problem, you have an open door that you can come talk to them. They like training. And that was what I think amazed a lot of people when we put in there of all the training they could get. You're not thrown out like a fish into water, no pun, but you are trained for that basis. Everything is different now than what it was many years ago. It's how people feel, what they see, what you provide. And that's what we're using as the bait. Each company has different bait, but they're all very similar.
And Cheryl, I think what you just said about what works in your market area is a prime consideration. As I look at a list of people that have made comments, I see Kathy Ray. She's in Amarillo, Texas. I see Patricia Watson. I see Lee Roth. Lee's in Houston, Texas. I see Jarek Quackenbush. He lives in Orlando and does video and photography and marketing for clients that we work with jointly. And what we're seeing is you got to know your market area. You got to know who you're competing against for these prospects. And what you got to do is put together a bait that is more attractive than anyone else's baits. Do you agree with that, Cheryl?
It's got to be better. There, everybody's starting to do it. Okay. It's one of those things, duplicate. And so we're seeing a lot of people doing it, but are they really providing what they're saying? You need to make your bait attractive. I would do my bait in videos. I would do my bait in writing. I would put it out there all the time. But yes, I mean it's across the market now. We're seeing more and more of it. But again, you have to be more presentable than the guy before you.
Correct. One of my things some years ago, I was a bass fisherman and I fished tournament bass fishing. Okay. Yeah. I was one of those guys that roared up and down the river at 60, 70 miles an hour in a bass boat as fast as it could go, getting to the fishing holes. And one of the things about fishing is often you get a bite, but when you go to set the hook, the fish isn't there. Cheryl, is that kind of what happens in hiring where we try to set the hook, but the fish is gone or is not interested enough for us to set that? I'm going to relate this to that issue of ghosting. So, as an employment agent for people, have you had to learn to deal with ghosting?
Oh, yeah. You sit many a day and time in front of a computer waiting for them to come in. But again, being a multitasker, it makes it easier for me to do it that way because I can proceed on with the day. Where if you're sitting in an office waiting on people, this is where you get really exasperated because they don't show up. You spend your whole day waiting on them. And it's the ghosting part is probably one of the worst. But like you said, if you can get them on there, then you can set the hook. The problem is you can't wait. Once you get an ad in or a resume, excuse me, you can't sit and wait for a week to respond because they've moved on to different holes.
Correct. And I'm going to relate that back to fishing. It's like this is a start. we entice the fish with the bait that we're offering. It could be the vibration, it could be the color, it could be the depth, it could be the speed, it could be any of these things that fish is going to bite. But here's a key consideration again to compare fishing to what you're doing. Okay. And that is, you have to keep the line tight. And Cheryl, I think that's what you're talking about here by a quick follow up. And you have to be reeling. I mean, you can't let that fish go. I know well, years ago, you said that you and your daddy used to go deep sea fishing. Y'all used to fish for king mackerel. And I say this, I know it's bringing a smile back to your face as you envision these times of being out there with your father. But, was that what y'all did when y'all were fishing for king mackerel? Was it a matter of keeping that line tight and reeling that fish in and using the rod and everything else?
Yeah, if you didn't hang on to him while you had him, he was gone. Once
Yeah,
you let the line go, you let it out just enough to let him back off so you can get a good tension, but you let it go too much, and you literally lose them. And there's nothing like fighting a king mackerel for 30 minutes for him to just disappear. And
correct.
we're allocating 30 minutes to longer times in hiring.
Yeah, and I want to say hello to Tom Spaulding, an old friend of mine and a real expert in social media. This gentleman is on it like very few people I've ever seen and knows the power of social. So Tom, I really appreciate you joining us today. That means a lot, and I'm glad we're some of your favorite North Carolinians. But again, it is a process, and it can be an exhaustive process, and it can be one full of disappointment. Because, Cheryl, we're also going to find people that may not make the grade when we've done all this. Would that be correct that at times we're going to find that this person fails in the new job that we've hired them for? Would you agree with that?
They do many times. I mean, you can talk to them, you can listen to them, but people, I don't want to say they're not always truthful, but they're not always truthful. And their ambitions and their goals and the things they want to do not align with your company. And so that's where you don't keep them, or either we don't bring them in correctly and they don't see that we really are offering the bait that we put out there.
Correct. So the bait's going to continue. Like I said, we're going to talk about recruitment bonuses in this episode today. But this is the process that you've got to go through. And one of the things that we encourage people to do, and I'm going to encourage you is, what's your story? What is the story that you have to convince people that a career in your company, in your industry, is the perfect choice for them? Because when you look at it, we look at the industries that we work with, this blue collar America, okay? That means we get our hands dirty, we get our face dirty. We're working in hot weather. We're working in extremely cold weather. We may be working in snow. We've been getting on dangerous routes. We're going to do all of these other things. So you've got to paint and put together this story of why you are the perfect choice for a career move, because you're not looking for the chronic unemployed. What you're trying to look for is a person who is looking for a change of careers. Recently, a really good friend of mine, Cheryl, is Taylor Hill. Taylor Hill is one of the principals that runs Spark Marketing. And Taylor contacted me the other day. And the reason for his contact was his son is looking for a change in careers, okay? And he wants to go into some form of blue collar. And as Taylor gave me the attributes, the skills of his son, hey, this could be a great choice for people, a great choice. And understand you can't stick around Facebook user, but feel free to watch the replay because it will be up here, okay? But the whole thing is, this is the people. There is a lot of people that are looking for a change of careers. In fact, I'm going to warn you right now of something, and that is the career span of many people that you're going to hire. A gentleman, really good friend of mine, in a conversation a couple years ago, his name's Bart Ogden, super guy, Wichita, Kansas, known him for many years. And Bart shared with me his thought processes, which were the, was the career life of the average person, the career path, and where he had come to the conclusion that probably it was between 3 and 5 years. And what this means is you're going to hire people and they're not going to be with you till they're 65 years old. It reminds me of the movie that was some years ago about a car manufacturer from Japan that had come to America and opened up a plant. Because if we look at the Japanese work ethic, those people go to work for a company for life. And many years ago, Cheryl, I think whenever we were much younger, that people did stay with the career and actually for a pension. But as we look at today, is that still the custom of 2021?
It's not anymore. The resumes and the people that I talk to, yeah, about three. If you get 5 years, you've got an employee that's exceptionally happy in your company that doesn't want to go anywhere else. But a lot of them aren't leaving you because they dislike you. They're leaving you because they want to try another path. It's not so much that what's wrong with you. So yeah, in the resumes, I'm seeing if I see 4 to 5 year expanses now, used to you would not have hired anybody that changed jobs that much, but that is your long span now.
Right. So be aware of that. That's why one of the principles that you better, if you're going to be in business today, hiring is an ongoing process. You've always got to be looking for new people because you never know when someone who's a very intricate part of your business decides that it's time to do something different. In fact, if I look at my friend Al Levy, who is a coach out of the plumbing and HVAC industry, his advice is always have backup. In other words, you got a backup for every single technician in your company. Now, to do that depends on your profitability, your numbers, and your ability to have that. But it's an amazing thing, Cheryl, that I've found people that have hired people that they didn't have a position for them, but miraculously they found a position for this person in the company that helped grow the company. So, are you in agreement with everything I'm saying so far?
I am. And many of my clients are hiring 12 months out of the year for every position, just so we make sure that we get the good people. But putting someone in, usually when you find someone that doesn't have a position and you make that position, they'll take a little from this one and a little from that one and a little from that one. And then eventually you've got an employee that is profitable because he's helped the others and you're able to move another step in your business.
Okay, so now, Cheryl, I'm going to talk about the recruitment bonus process. Now, if you're listening to this, if you haven't looked at it, you probably have the same thought process I did. It's like, my God, this is ridiculous for me to have to pay a bonus for somebody to come to work for me. Okay? And if you have that opinion, please stay with me and listen to this process. Listen to the process that I'm getting ready to take you through. Because the recruitment bonus is not a check we're going to write to them on day one. I want you to understand it's not a day one. We are looking for people to meet a certain criteria after they come to work for us. So this recruitment bonus has to be put together as a program to where you're going to release these funds to this person over a period of time based on their accomplishment and their ability to perform tasks. Now, to do this, you got to put a program together. You got to put a program together of what these tasks are. Cheryl, are you with me so far, or have I lost everybody in my conversation at this point, you think?
I don't think you've lost everybody. It's just it's a menu. You've got to accomplish this for this and this for this. Other words, this is $2, this is that. And you go through. And the thing is, let me inject here, you have to be very stringent when these people come to stick to that.
Correct. And that's the tracking and measuring of the process. So what you've got to do in order to make this system work for you is every position that you have in your company that you're going to hire someone for, and this could be office, this could be field, this could be any number of divisions of your company, but you have to put together your proficiency list. Now, if you've listened to me this far, here's a free offer for you. You see my email address. I have put together what I call the technician proficiency chart for a chimney sweep technician. If you would like a copy of that, all you have to do is send an email to me at my email address that's on the screen right now, and I'll be more than happy to send this to you in an Excel format. Now, you're going to have more positions than this, but what you've got to decide is what is the increments, what's going to be your time frames for a person to develop proficiency. And what you got to do is break down these various factors of proficiency and what's there. Okay, what's it going to take them to be proficient in your business to where they have become a profitable and productive member of your team? Cheryl, what's your thoughts on the process I'm discussing right now?
I think it's super, but I want to tell everyone you're not going to follow it exactly. You're going to have nuances in there that work with your business. But what he's offering it's on the chimney service business. But I see we've got a lot of other listeners that aren't in the chimney field. So it's just a matter of tweaking it to fit yourself. And again, same as the bait, every company is different. Don't follow it exactly.
I'm sure in your manufacturing business, there's a lot of tasks. And we'll say you hire someone who is proficient in computers, but you want them to become an island designer using your CAD programs and putting that all together. So there's going to be a proficiency chart of all the things you have to accomplish to become proficient. And I think that's what a lot of us forget is it's the steps to success. I mean, I can still remember, Cheryl, when you did a Zig Ziglar seminar some years ago and showed the steps to success in life. You remember that?
Remember it well.
And it was all these little steps. But I'm going to dig a little deeper into recruitment bonuses, because part of what you've got to do is have a staff that is happy working for you. You got to have a staff that feels good about you and what you're doing. So as we go into this, again, there's some things I'm going to encourage you to do, because the best recruiting agents that you can hire, and I'm talking about are going to exceed what Cheryl could do for you, is going to be your own employees. Turning your employees into a recruiting force for you, where they are spelling to others how great it is to work for you, why it's the right job for you, and developing this cheerleading success out there. It's like Susan just posted at CBS Chimney Sweepers. We've had success using Indeed and employee referrals. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to entice and talk to your workforce and ask them to please do the following, because testimonials are everything here. Is consider going on a couple of websites such as Indeed and Glassdoor, because both of these are websites where people go and search for new employment. And just like a testimonial on your Facebook page or your Google page is great for business. The same thing comes from your people. Now, as we go further, why not consider a recruitment bonus for your workers that bring new prospects to your door? Now, again, this bonus is not paid the day they come to work for you. It would be stretched out over 6 months, 9 months to a year, where in 90 days, your employee gets a recruitment bonus if this person is accomplishing the goals. And maybe in another 3 months, and in another 3 months, and in another 3 months. And you put together this package. Because to be honest with you, have you ever looked at the cost of finding an employee? Cheryl, what do you think the average cost to search for employees on Indeed is with the cost of ads?
With the cost of ads, you're probably, till you take the ones that you don't use and all the above, I know that's what you're talking about, you can have $150 in a person before you ever get that hooked in one.
Right. Now, Kathy Ray has just brought up one heck of a great question, Kathy. And actually, I was going to get to this, so I appreciate that comment. But Kathy Ray's thing is, do you think there will be a pushback from employees already hired when you offer a hire-on bonus to bring new employees in? I think it will happen if you don't properly obtain buy-in. Because what the company members have got to understand is if you don't have the capacity to handle the business coming into you, the business is going to suffer. Not only that, you're not going to be able to fulfill your mission because you don't have what I call the capacity. So Kathy, you know, this is where we got to work with our existing team members, and we've got to get them bought into this. You know, recently, one of our other clients, actually, we brought this up at their SWAT meeting, that one of the weaknesses was the lack of capacity. So during this, in the SWAT meeting, we dealt with this as an issue. And we got everybody in the company bought into the process. You know, and that's going to develop with your leadership style and your discussion and being open and listening. And Kathy, that's a great thing about you. You do listen to your people. But again, what we're talking about is how to conquer this in your marketplace. So Cheryl, the way that you conquer the hiring challenge in New York, in Texas, in California may be just slightly different, because what we've got to do is you have to tailor the program that works for you. You agree with that?
I agree. Every state, you don't have to be from one end of the states to the other. Even neighboring states are a little different. So everything has to be tailored. I mean, you can't just go into a shoe shop and buy any shoe. You've got to get the one that fits.
If you don't get one that fits, Cheryl, your feet hurt, you get blisters, and all kinds of bad things happen. Would you agree?
If you're a woman, definitely so.
Correct. Well, if you're a man too, it's the same situation. But what you've got to do is you got to build a program that fits for you. And I think that's one of the things that we really have striven hard on, because Cheryl, we're able to see what works around the country. We see what can work with one market area, and we can then modify that plan slightly to where it works with another market area. But this is what you got to do. It's just like right now, this is almost one of the things that we're doing. I am not against marketing your business, but if you're listening to me right now, what percentage of your marketing budget is being spent for more sales when you can't handle the demand of what's coming in your door right now? I'm serious. This is like going to a restaurant and ordering a expensive meal and you're stuffed. You can't eat anything because your belly is full. So what you've got to do is decide, do you want to conquer this thing? And part of your management has got to be, how do we get on top of what I call the capacity issue, the ability to serve your customers in a short period of time? Just think about it. Think about it for a minute. If you have a big backlog, how would you feel if you needed a plumber because your commode wasn't running properly and you called the plumber and the plumber said, well, we'll be out there. It'll be 3 weeks from Monday. Cheryl, what would you do in that situation?
I'd pick up the phone and call someone else.
Thank you. Because most of your customers, they want it now. Remember, sales are 70% to resolve a pain. How long are people going to go through pain till the resolution can get to them? They're looking for a resolution. And that's what we're trying to give you today. Go ahead, Cheryl.
I want to circle back to Kathy's question, if you'd like to put it up there again.
There you go.
This is part of what I see for that situation. I think this is what I'm hearing, because we're in the SWAT meetings and all a lot from the other employees. They're really tired of getting John to work, and it takes John forever to be able to do anything, and they're having to carry his load. So if you can express to your people, we can get these people here and we can get them up to par much earlier, then your job is going to be easier. Yes, will there be some rift back? Always, because money's there. But if they see that these people can come in and in a short period of time become a viable part of the company, I think that'll cut a lot of it back.
Right. And this also answers another question, Kathy, which is growth within the company. You see, a lot of people want an opportunity to advance. In order for this advancement in the company to happen, the company's got to grow its capacity. Think about it yourself. Right now, where do I advance to in your company? Am I going to be doing the same thing in 20 years? Keep it in mind, people look for different things. And being able to offer an opportunity for advancement, Cheryl, is that one of the factors that people look at when you talk to them about a new career in this day and time?
It is, because a lot of the people that are searching, one of the things that I have in my conversation with them, and I'm asking them what they think. They say, I'm as far in this company as I'm going to ever get, and I need a place to go. And so a lot of times the place to go would not be another company. It would be in the company they're in now, but they're there and there's no position to move up to.
And Tom, I appreciate that, your comment. If you think what we are sharing out, please feel free to share this on social media. Our whole goal in doing our broadcast is to give people solid ideas in how to extinguish that pain. And in today's world, Cheryl, would you agree, from talking to our client base, that the lack of available workforce is a gigantic pain, a gigantic headache for so many?
It's an extreme one, and I can say that from being an employer myself. It's heartburn at times not to have enough people to take care of your customers. You don't want to lose the customers, so you need this really overabundance of people to get that pain off. We're continually hiring in my shop so we can get ahead of the game. The thing that you'll notice, the higher you up your game, the more customers you'll get, believe it or not, because you're satisfying the customer you've got. They're telling people, this company doesn't take 6 weeks to get me. They're right there when I need them. And right there's the best customer keeper that I know of.
Right. Because now, as you build this program of the recruitment bonus, think for a minute. I want you to think of an auto mechanic today. If we look at an auto mechanic 30, 40 years ago, he went in, he checked timing, he changed out the points, the plugs. In today's world, a mechanic has got to be a computer technician. That's how he diagnoses the problems. And you see, that's what you're going to find. You're going to have people, no matter who they are, that's going to need basic training and ongoing training.